Well, hi guys, and welcome to another Flight Deck 2 Sim live stream today, the 1st of January 2020. Happy New Year, everyone! Fantastic. We've made it to another year, another live stream, and I hope you've all had a fantastic time the last 12-24 hours. We've all, I'm sure, been partying quite hard. I'm feeling quite tired. God, I'm off work at the moment, that's for sure. But certainly not tired enough to do a live stream. Thankfully, the same rules that apply to my real job as a pilot don't apply when it comes to flying the ZIBO mod for Flight Deck to Sim Airlines, thankfully. But nonetheless, we'll see how we get on. I hope you're all feeling great. Thank you very much, everyone here. All the members popping in as well. Anthony, Finley, Barfoot, see you coming in. New members just signed up as well. Jack Aviation, thank you very much for the new membership there as well. That's all very, very kindly appreciated. We're in the ZIBO mod 328 in a pre-release version. I only downloaded it about 2 seconds ago. 32C, it's a pre-release version. I was chatting to ZIBO very briefly. He's just said he's released a new offset lateral, our lateral offset procedure, which we're going to test on the way from this flight from Barcelona to Malaga, attempting to fly on the network. We'll see what happens. I see a few people popping in as we sat here on stand 109 anyway. But yeah, I hope you've all had a great new year and having a lovely day off, this public holiday day, of course. And that's it. So yes, here we are in Barcelona. This scenery is from Just Sim. We have flown into Barcelona before. I think it was about a month ago or so. And we're flying along the coast of Spain today, east coast of Spain, then overland to Malaga. Flight time about an hour, but the scenery is really, really nice. You might notice the Sims looking slightly different as well. Oh, well, it goes without saying, I think we're going to log straight off. I didn't think it would take too long for that to happen. But yeah, problems are always like that in the VATSIM network. They just love to annoy people. Never mind, there's no ATC anyway. But yeah, as I was saying, we're in Barcelona. You might have noticed the sim looks a little bit different. That's because I purchased Xvision about a couple of weeks ago, and I've got a preset from Richard Alsberg installed, which I think's really improved how the sim looks. It's really improved. The textures are really, really realistic and stuff. So yeah, that's pretty pleasing. But yeah, the airport absolutely massive. Live weather. It's an absolutely smashing day here in Barcelona, and it should be like this all the way to Malaga. So without further ado, let's jump into the ZIBO mod, cold and dark as it is, and go from there. So we'll pop the battery on. GPU is on the bus. Electric hydraulic pumps can go on now as well. Verifying the landing gear lever is down. We've got 3 green lights here and 3 green lights up here on the upper overhead panel. Going to the fire tests as well. Again, I wanted to get some of this setup done prior to the stream, but things always happen. You know, taking to set this up properly, it takes about 25 minutes to get the weather up, project fly, fly plans filed, all that sort of stuff. But unfortunately, you're going to have to watch me do the entire flow. There's the squib bottle tests, fault, verify fault, APU detector in op. We've got the master caution overheat detector lights illuminated. Fire tests now. You can hear the bell. We've got the fire engine 1-2 APU wheel well lights illuminated as we have AC power. Verify the bell sounds. You can't do it, but simultaneously in the real aircraft we push that to make sure the bell sounds and the light extinguishers too. So that is it for the fire test. Up onto the upper overhead panel. Emergency exit lights we can arm. We won't put the fasten seatbelt sign on because we do need to refuel the aircraft. Health and safety. Attend is working completely fine. Flap indicator matches the flap position to the cargo fire test. We do a takeoff config warning test as well. That's working. That's all looking good as well. Transponder box 1. Yeah, I'm trying to go in a bit more detail. Sometimes I miss things out, but generally it's there's 2 transponders. One, when the captain's flying, he typically sets it to 1. The first officer's when he's flying, it's set to 2. You know, it's not written down, it's just what people do. We do it at my operator anyway, but never understood fully why. I guess to make sure if there's one that's not working, we'd find out. But there's the manual gear extension door closed, handles down, check the circuit breakers, spare bulbs, emergency escape rope, up onto the up overhead panel, pop a bit of this on. Heading STS, IRS to align, not to altitude. New member coming in as well, Steve J. Welcome to the channel as a member. Thank you for the dedicated support. You'll get an invite to the members only Discord where you'll find some exclusive members only content and a great bunch of guys in there as well. Enter IRS heading, don't usually get that up in the FMC. But yes, the rest is all set up, and then we can jump down here and start the boarding. There we are. So where is it? I can't remember. There we go. Start flight leg. Brilliant. So there we are. Having a look at the chat then. Joe, hey Captain, how's it going? Very well on this New Year's Day. Of course, we wouldn't start the New Year's without doing a stream. In fact, we did a live stream New Year's Day last year. I think we did, I can't remember what the route was. It was Copenhagen to Gatwick, I think. God, how the hell did I remember that? I have no idea. Just checking the stream as well. It says my video output's low again. I had fixed all those issues, so I'm not sure why we're losing a bit of quality here. Hopefully I'll get to the bottom of that shortly. Always issues on these streams. If it's not someone on VATSIM, it's usually an issue my side with the computer. But the internet looks like it's struggling today. I hope not. Everyone's at home watching Flight Sim live stream, that's fine. Right, so we've done all the emergency testing. We're boarding the aircraft. Let's have a look at the flight plan. That is showing here our fuel. Weather's lovely today. I think we'll just take standard fuel. So we need 6.2 tons. Let's take that here. Fuel truck, cool. No, we need to go here. Fuel 6.2. Only a short flight, so about an hour or so. And the payload today is going to be 17.2 tons. That gives us 162 passengers. So we'll enter that there. That simulates that we've got the corrected loading based off that aircraft, based off that configuration as well. And now we can request the fuel load, which is just here. There we are. Fuel truck, cool. And there he is. He's loading us up with a Jet A1 for the flight to Malaga. Brilliant. Now back into the flight deck. So fuel's loaded. Coming up to here, we can select terrain. We can select airport. The QNH right now in Barcelona is, as my phone loads up here, Barcelona El Prat 1031, so quite high pressure. There we are. That's now indicating the correct height. Yes, please let me know in the chat if there's an issue here. It does say that the stream health is pretty low. I don't think I've dropped any frames yet. I'm just double checking my Streamlabs OBS here as well. It says it's okay. Yeah, I'm only managing. Yeah, it says stream quality is good, so I don't know what YouTube's moaning about. YouTube's moaning at me saying the stream quality is not good, but Streamlabs says it's completely fine. You say it's fine, Doug. Pretty blurry at times. Okay, fingers crossed, because I need to get a new internet here because it's gone really slow the last 3 months or so. QNH is set then. Minimum flat retraction altitude for performance then, based off Barcelona, it's going to be 1020. There we are. So that is all set. We'll turn up the panel lighting, background lighting. What a flight director system's turned up as well. And straight to the FMC. Perfect. Stream's good. Okay, blurry at times. I think there's a mixture of quality here. But I've been told by one of the members if you reduce the HD quality to 720, it should hopefully improve the stuttering and the buffering. Well, hopefully, I've just messaged my partner to stop downloading whatever she is, or watching whatever she is, to hopefully get everything's back up to speed. Right, anyway, we're in Barcelona. Lima Echo Bravo Lima. GPS left, there's our coordinates. That's off for stand 108. And we're going to Malaga. Both these airports I've flown into quite a few times in reality, so I'll be able to give you a bit more of a detailed insight and briefing into these airports. Certainly with regards to Barcelona departing and Malaga as well. As we continue the flight, we'll give you all the information as needed. Runway 25 left is the preferred runway for departure here, so it's going to be quite a long taxi for us. And then our SID is going to be the Lotus for Quebec, which is here. From Lotus, it's a very short route. Well, I say it's quite a short route. It's only along a few airways here, so we only need to put in after Lotus upper Mike 985. And then from there, upper Mike 985, it's going to be to Vibas. And then from Vibas, that's the arrival into Malaga. The arrival is going to be ILS Zulu runway 13, and then it's going to be the Vibas to Quebec arrival, which is just here via Tolsu, and we can activate that and execute. Right. Again, I've completely lost YouTube. My stream seems to be working my side, but I've lost chat. I can't see any of you typing anything. And it says here the video output is stopped, but Streamlabs says it's still live. So just give me 2 seconds. I'm just going to investigate this, make sure that you guys are actually still watching this. You might be, but I can't see anything at the moment. So give me 2 seconds. I'll try and investigate what's going on with my connection. All right, thanks. It looks like you guys. I don't know. Something's going on with YouTube because the chat's very slow. It says the video output stopped, but Streamlabs saying it's completely live. So I have absolutely no idea what's going on in the background here. I've never seen YouTube do anything like this before. It's saying video output stopped, stream reloading, but Streamlabs saying it's still streaming. I'm getting comments coming through as well, so I've refreshed the page on my web browser, but I guess because it's New Year's Day there's probably a few people extra online, but yeah, I've lost the chat at the moment. I've got the chat in Streamlabs so I can see you guys are chatting, but because I only have a single monitor, I have to alt-tab between the two, so it's going to probably be a little bit more tricky to look at some of the questions here as well, but I have no idea what's happened on my laptop. It says the stream stopped, but I can see it's still chatting fine. Right, so the FMC routing is loaded. Now let's look at the performance. Zero fuel weight is 58.6, gives us a takeoff weight of 64.8 tons. Our reserves are based on our alternate today of Seville, which is just to the west of Malaga, so that's where we divert to if we had any problems, couldn't get in there. And that's going to be 2.4, 2.5, it's quite 2.6 tons. So if we were in Malaga on the approach and we got down to 2.6, we'd have to be pretty quick with our decision whether to commit to Malaga or divert to Seville. Cost index is 30, cruising at 37,000 feet today, which you could pop it there. We could execute. We could pop into the upper overhead panel as well. There we are, 37,000 feet. Top of climb wind at flight level 370. That is 318 at 46. And ISO deviation here is -5. And the temperature here in Barcelona, it is 12 degrees, so it is clear, but pretty nippy for this place time of the year. And our takeoff performance is going to be 22k, reduced 41 degrees. I did set this up prior to the stream. With the packs on, it should give us a takeoff thruster doing 87.5 or 87.6 it says here, and then 87.5. So that's all looking good and stuff. Takeoff then, flap 5, V-speed should be 39, 39, 43. We've got 40, 40, 44. So they're all within knot. We can accept those speeds. V2 we bug up here on the MCP. There we are. So FMC's loaded up to the upper overhead panel. Fuel pumps can come up on now. Yaw damper, don't forget that either. Cross-feed valve, we can check it's completely working fine. Faster seatbelt sign is on because I should think we've finished refueling. Window heat can come up on now as well. Trim on, auto. We'll leave that open for now. What was the land altitude or elevation in Malaga here? The elevation is 52 feet, so we can put 50 feet up here on the upper overhead panel. Steady, we should have had set there as well. Right, so the runway heading here in Barcelona, I think, off the top of my head, is 245. So we'll put 245 here. I haven't got the aerodrome chart open. Actually, no, I've got it here, sorry. It is 245, there we are. So we're going to have to taxi all the way over here. Quite a long taxi there. So that is all set. And then the courses are based off our set. Again, I will step through all of this once I've got everything set up there. But we're flying this low-toss departure, which is very noise sensitive. All the departures off runway 25, they basically make you turn left over the sea, so you don't... so you're not too loud for the residents of Barcelona. But essentially, the radials I need to have set are 163 for El Prat. Again, I will explain later what this is all for. 14.3 for the VOR, which you can make active. We'll put 14.3 this side. And that's about it, really. We'll turn up the panel lighting here. Auto brake to RTO. Reset this. Legs. Right, I think we're pretty much in business. I'm just going to let me start again. I'm just going to refresh my web browser on the YouTube video. That's now saying the stream's working fine. I have no idea if some of you have missed 5 minutes or you've seen all of it, but it says here the stream health is okay. Balas Lich, one of my members, says check the standby altimeter. Very good. I was just testing you. 1031 to go up here as well. Very, very good. So that's all set. Noah Weston, are you on the latest ZIBO? We're on a pre-release version of the ZIBO mod, which I guess may be released after the stream. That's what ZIBO usually does. It's 3.38.32c. It's not much different from the public version, which was released very recently. I think that was 3.38.31 or 3.38.32 full. But essentially the newest feature we have here is lateral offset, which I think ZIBO has fine-tuned today. I think it's still a bit buggy, but we'll see how it works on there as well. Good. Swisty, hey Captain, please can you do a welcome in PA? Oh, crikey. I'll have to do it very slowly because I might let slip my operator, which I might have done in a stream before. But it would be something along the lines of, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another Flight Deck to Sim Airlines flight to Malaga. We just finished the last bits of paperwork. Expect to be pushing back in the next 10 minutes or so. You'd say your names as well, who the cabin crew are too, but I'm going to skip that bit out. Our routing today, we're going to be taking off from the southwesterly runway here in Barcelona, flying over the Mediterranean, then over mainland Spain, fly directly overhead Valencia, the Sierra Nevada mountain range, and onwards to Malaga. Flight time region 1 hour 10 minutes, cruising at 37,000 feet, and expecting very smooth conditions. And right now in Malaga, latest weather conditions are easterly winds, clear skies, temperature 15 degrees Celsius. Doors will shortly close. The cabin crew will show you a safety demonstration. This is for your safety. Please may I ask give it your full attention. And once again, you're very welcome on board. There you go. That's a typical boarding PA I would be doing at my operator, and I've just done on the Flight Deck to Sim Airlines flight to Malaga. How lovely. Right, let's get the APU started, and excuse me, we'll step through some of the briefing elements of this flight as well. Sorry, Steve J, are we Alpaca Airways today? Yes, we might as well be, although, oh no, well, we're not, we don't have the Alpaca themed livery. As I was mentioning in the Discord yesterday, sometimes you have to update everything in the mod, all the little individual settings that you have, and I have this configured for my operator, so I will jump into that, and I know there's a way of swapping it over, which I will do at some point there. So, we've got the fuel on board, we've kind of discussed how the aircraft's set up, everything's done, the boarding PA is complete. We'd now do all the briefing elements of the flight with the first officer who's come back from the walk around. So again, we'd firstly step through the routing, which, let's just get rid of that. Oh no, I want the flight plan up, please, which is there. So we'd step through the routing, the pilot monitoring would read basically this section here. We discuss any threats as well, any issues associated with Barcelona, which I'll briefly discuss whilst probably taxiing out. It's going to be quite a long taxi. And a gross error check we do to make sure the route's correct is verify that the ground distance here is roughly the same as the total distance in the FMC, which you'll find on the progress page. You can see here 443 miles ground distance, we've got 450. Hey presto, that's pretty close enough. That doesn't mean we've put a waypoint in the other side of the planet, perhaps. Just got a donation coming in there from Volprick, one of my members. Thank you very much. Happy New Year, and thanks for all your help on Discord. Or you're most welcome, Volprick, and I hope you had a good time in the simulator. I think, was that you that went in the simulator in Russia? I can't remember, but if it was, yeah, I hope you enjoyed that anyway. And we'll go from there. Leo, much like, no need to put things 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times. I read it the first time. Why do you prefer the 737 to say the A320? That's because I fly the 737 for real life, that's why. Just because one of the reasons I stream in it is because I know how to fly this plane. Well, I think I do, anyway, compared to the Airbus. But I think it's about high time. I was thinking about it the other day, that we do another Airbus stream, just for the laugh. I think I might try and do a flight into a bit of a challenging airport for a time. Fly J Sims in the house, thank you very much as well for your comment. I hope you're doing well. 737 for life. Absolutely. And the 727, which I still need to try. But yes, absolutely. So that's the routing information all checked. We'd now do the instrument cross-check, so checking the clock, checking the QNH altimeter cross-check here, verify the minimum flat retraction altitude set, and so on and so forth. We then do a takeoff briefing, which discusses some of the elements of how we'd operate the aircraft, for takeoff. So if I was doing the takeoff briefing today, I'd be saying it's a left-hand seat takeoff because it's the captain flying. It's going to be a flat 5 departure, dry speeds, and we've got a very special noise abatement procedure here because it's so sensitive here with noise. Barcelona, the authorities really measure compliance. Make sure you don't deviate from the SID. Make sure you shut your APU off in time as well. So what we're doing is an NADP1 departure, but we actually have to accelerate at our initial takeoff climb speed, V2 plus 20 around, until 3,500 feet just to get up as high as possible, and then we bug up. So it's quite a noise sensitive airport for that. So the takeoff briefing would be next, or completed. We then discuss the emergency, so what we do in the event of a rejected takeoff, what we do in the event of an engine failure, and then we discuss the taxi routing. Now we are right up here. I think, what stand was this? 109, I think. Let's just pop outside here. Yeah, stand 109. So our taxi routing here. Now, typically in Barcelona, it's runway 25 in use with the prevailing wind here. They land on 25 right and depart off 24 left and 25 right. Now, we park at my operator on the northern side here, Terminal T2. It used to be quite easy to get a departure runway 25 right, but certainly in the last year, every time I've requested it, or I've been here, they've always refused it. They've said, no, it's too busy, and you have to taxi all the way down here, round Sierra, Mike's, cross on Delta, and then runway 25 left here, which I think I might do today, or I might perhaps just cross the runway. If you're lucky, you can just quickly whip across the runway here for runway 25 left, but it's so busy in the summer. Like Heathrow, they've got continuous arrivals here, and in Barcelona, they keep it very tight. A lot of aircraft continuously landing after the other. Here's the SID we're flying then. It's the Lotus for Quebec, and you can see here, I think it mentions it on the Jefferson charts anyway. RNAV SID, you need approval, which we have. DME associated ILS are not usable for RNAV departures. So there's no point tuning the ILS there because it's all RNAV based there. Now, you see this 235 radial here. I think this is what we're wanting to see here. You can't cross it at all for noise. You can see here, do not overshoot Barcelona radial 235 on initial turn for environmental issues, and you can only cross it for safety reasons. So what my operator does, it's an SOP here, unique to Barcelona. We put a radial in Barcelona, so we put Bravo Charlie November, and we just simply punch in, I don't know, 235/25 or something like that. And what that does, it gives you a little green line on the departure here. You can see how close we are. Just to pictorially see, we mustn't cross this. This is the coastline roughly of Barcelona where the city is, and if you cross this, you're going to be over all the noise measuring stations. You're going to get a big hefty fine for your operator, so we just ensure that we cross this. And for anyone that's flown out of Barcelona, you'll be quite familiar with the fact when departing off runway 25, you have quite a sharp turn at 500 feet just to get out of there over the sea. Thank you very much to BWAT for signing up as a new member. Welcome to their channel as a member as well, and I hope you enjoy all the exclusive members only offers as well. Welcome to the channel, my friends. Dougal, hope you're doing well. The real world controllers Barcelona on a different level. No comment to Barcelona airport ATC. They're quite infamous in the aviation world, let's say. Right, so that's it. I hope we're all clued up with what's going on. APU can come up on the bus now. It's been running for over a minute, and I think with this one we don't need to disconnect the ground power because it's associated with the air bridge. So we'll get the pushback organised with this. So better push back. No, I could do it through here. I keep forgetting to do this. Right, pre-plan. I didn't do one earlier, so we'll do something like this and this. Then I think let's test it. Let's do a bit of a wiggle around, see if it works. Let's do that.
Plan and knowledge. Coming through the menu when you are ready.
Buenas tardes, Jose. Very Spanish, of course. Right, request pushback. Where is it? How do I do it? There we are. All good. All good in the hood.
Ground to Cockpit. Tau is driving up.
HD Flight Sim new update. I guess if you're referring to the ZIBO mod, yes. If you look in the video description below, you'll see which version I am using. Nightbot should tell you as well if you put this in chat. Some of the what version I'm running and the updates accordingly as well. Dougal, yes. Well, mixed. It can be a mixture. Can be a mixture. Well, it should be anyway. Why is it? Where is Nightbot? I don't know. There he is. Perfect. Spooled up, which sceneries are you using? Again, if you look in the video description below, you'll find everything I'm using. This is Barcelona from Just Sim. A little bit cloudier now. But yes, very happy with it. I've flown into it once, I think, but it's nice.
All doors and hatches
Very
are closed.
representative of the
Ready to
real airport.
connect.
Except these tiles are looking a lot older in real life. But yeah, they really like the new textures. So again, yes, as I can reiterate, like I did at the start of the sim, we did try and get on the VATSIM network within 1 minute, I think, of chatting. We were already having issues, so we've signed back off, and I might try again later, we'll see. But I think I'll be only sticking to VATSIM to kind of like the private streams I do on Discord and stuff, which is occasional. I know his Chinaski troll is off, but I know what will happen as soon as I log back in. I can't be bothered. So we'll see. We'll see.
Now connected and bypass being inserted. Release parking brake.
Right, parking brake released, and we better do the checks below the line. So backs off.
Starting pushback, and you
Vision
may
light
start
on.
engine.
Parking brake is off. Transponder set to out off. There we are. Checks complete. There we are. So we've got going half an hour into the stream. That's not bad. Sometimes it takes a lot longer with ATC. But again, I always endeavour to get everything set up, but I always get bogged down with trying to set things up. But yeah, I do love these new textures. There we are. So pushing back on schedule. I have the flight plan filed for past. We're doing very well. Max NGX, the chronometer. If you select non-digital sex, you see the chronometer up to 60 minutes, but in real life, so I've seen it go past that. And at 97 minutes, did ZIBO fix this yet? Yeah, I think the chronometer happily goes past 1 hour if you press the elapsed timer. If you do the chronometer, it just you only get the digital display off that. But we use the elapsed timer and chronometer initially for takeoff, and then we turn off the chronometer as we climb and just use the elapsed timer for the entire sector. Fanboy Media, is there a way to stop the parking brake release warning bell, or does it just go for a certain time? I think what you're referring to is the fact that the air bridge is retracting from the aircraft. That's what's causing the bell. There's no noise associated with setting or releasing the parking brake there. Oh, crikey, where are we going? There's an aggressive pushback here. Right, I think we better get the engine started anyway, as we're approaching the point at where we need to set our parking brake, so let's start engine number 2. There is our N2 rotation. Oil pressure's good, and we have N1 rotation as well. Spar valve is out, and we have the engine rotation there. Ifran Ahmed, Captain, in real life, do you need the tower's permission for pushback and engine start? Yes, I mean, typically at a larger airport like this one,
Operation complete. Set parking brake.
you'd have a clearance delivery frequency to get your clearance.
Connecting tow. Stand by.
You'd have a ground frequency to get your pushback. Sometimes clearance deals with that as well, if ground is very busy. And then tower for, operating with the takeoff and landing of aircraft on the runway at a large airport like this. N2. Rotation, oil pressure, and N1 as well. There we are, disconnecting hand signals. Good timing with the engine start, all very efficient. And it looks like the stream's all A-OK now. I've double checked everything. My upload speed should be good enough to watch in 1080, but fingers crossed we won't have any issues like we did earlier. Isaac, when you fly in real life, do you only fly within Europe? Yes, occasionally a little bit further east now, and North Africa
has been removed.
as well.
Hand signal on the left. We'll see you next time and have a safe flight.
Hasta luego. Que tenga buen día. That's my Spanish exhausted. Lovely. And that's the view for our passengers seeing Terminal 2 in Barcelona. There we are. There's our pushback man. And there is the bypass pin. Oh, looking good. Now, why is it very quiet? Can I not hear the engines? Oh, I thought the engines were really quiet. It's probably because I've turned the volume down there. Right, so sorry, generators on, APU's off. Start switch is continuous. It's like I've got a very good noise cancelling headset on. I can't hear any background noise. That's all good. Flaps 5, of course. Flight controls. Full forwards. Full back, left, centre, right centre. And you'll notice now when I move my rudders, the tiller doesn't move. That's because I've set it up right, left, centre. So I've got the joystick yaw rotation set to the tiller. I have no idea why I didn't have that set up before, but someone suggested it to me and I said, great, that's actually a really good idea. So I can actually taxi now using the joystick as opposed to the rudder pedals, and only use the rudder for when I need it to decrap. Right, so its engines are very quiet. There we are. I don't want to make it too loud so you don't hear me, but there we are. Right, so taxi. Let's pop on the turn off and taxi light. Our routing then is going to be something like, well, it's up to you. We can go the really long way around, which is how it would be done probably in the summer. I mean, even today I'd expect short. I think we'll just do what I'd expect right now if I was here. We're going to make a sharp right, go Echo 7, cross here. We'll then make our second left onto there, cross over at Delta, cross 02, and from there we'll make a right turn, and that's what I'd expect today actually if it wasn't too busy. For runway 25 right. There we are. So release the parking brake, config check, no takeoff config warning. That's a very good start to the day. And we'll taxi to runway 25 left. So clear right, and good to see that my tiller is working fine. Lovely. Can't remember this drain cover being here. I don't think that would have the strength to deal with the weight of an aircraft. Continuously anyway. Right, there we are. So whenever crossing an active runway, it's very important that you ensure that you are cleared. So you probably contact tower, or ground would negotiate with tower to get your clearance there. But my operator, we have this kind of two-phase check. Firstly, we confirm with the other pilots that we have been cleared to cross a runway, and he has to confirm that he heard it too, and then we obviously check left and right, and we just turn the strobes on at my operator just to increase visibility. Perhaps if there was someone landing at dusk and we've misheard something, we can at least increase our visibility on the active runway there. As I said, this runway is very active in the summer. Patrick, yes, that's why we're going the shorter way. I'm not going to taxi the whole way. Sandeep Singh says no ATC online. We are logged offline due to continuous issues on VATSIM. And until VATSIM fix it, I'm going to probably just avoid using it. Casper Hermes, I thought the 737 was a multi-crew operation. Where's your first officer? He's a little hungover, so we're going on our own today, that's why. Looking good in the mod. There's the view from the marshaller, airport marshaller. Cool. There we are. So we're on. Actually, no. Sorry, I've mistold you that. I said we'd usually go on Delta. It depends how busy it is, but we often go along this taxiway as well. But in the summer, we would have gone all the way around here via Sierra, which is quite cool because you get aircraft landing on top of you if it's runway 07 in use. But we'll continue on Echo, and then we'll go on Juliet to runway. Correction. We'll go Echo and then a left turn onto Kilo. I only said that because I think the last time I was here was on runway 07. Cool. Anyone notice on the MCP a fatal thing I've forgotten to do? That's because we don't get our clearance when there's no one online. Forgot to stop altitude. That's a big no-no. Don't ever forget to do that. Otherwise, if you engage the automation, it'll level off for you, which is an absolute pain in the backside. That's another donation coming in. I'm just fixing my donation. Carl coming in again with your continued ridiculous generosity. Carl, thank you very much again. Happy New Year, Captain, he says. Carl, Happy New Year to you. I hope 2020 is going to be hopefully better than how you felt in your 2019 one, that's for sure. Carl, for those who are new to the stream, he's one of my most generous members who's crazy every stream. He's always coming in with ridiculous donations. But Carl, thank you very much for that, buddy. And yeah, catch up with your Discord later. That's very, very kind. Thank you very much. That'll go good to reimburse my bank balance. Yes, last night. We had a good night, that's for sure. Alright, so yes, again, crossing the runway. I forgot to say we would have turned the strobe back off, but obviously we crossed another runway. If it was active, we'd again put the strobe back on. But as we're no longer on an active runway, we can cross that there. Patrick Coverter, my most frequently asked question: which airline do you work for? That is something I keep to myself. I've been streaming for, well, making videos now for almost 3 years, and since it started I have not ever discussed who I work for. My operator is well aware of my channel. They give me full permission to do what I do. They even allow me, if I wished, to say I worked for. I just choose not to do that for silly reasons, like I don't want you asking me questions like, why does your operator do this, does your operator do that? Or you might even have a checked bag that you've lost, and you might be asking, how do I get my checked in bag from when I flew on this flight? So that's the simple reason I keep it to myself. It'll be a bit of a good one if I managed to keep it a secret for 3 years. And I actually wasn't a pilot, I'm just a regular guy. Biggest conspiracy ever. Daniel Smith, can't you go 30 knots in a straight line? I can, I'm just bumbling along quite nicely here as I'm reading the chat and looking at other things, the charts and stuff. But now is a good time to do the before takeoff checklist as we approach the whole point for runway 25 left. So before takeoff checklist, config is checked. Earlier, flaps for departure, we have 5 required and 5 here with the green light. Stab trim set for departure. Takeoff briefing, we've got the packs are in auto, bleeds on, the V speeds are set. 40, 40, 44, set on the MCP. Our departure SID is going to be a Lotus 4 Quebec, climbing straight ahead 500 feet, immediate left turn. We're going to go on a heading of 163, and then we're going to intercept the 208 radial from El Prat, which is set here. I forgot to set that there. 163 was the heading, but that's the actual radial we're going to intercept there. And then we're going to go to some RNAV waypoints, which are coded in the FMC. DOTIS, 047, 014, and then onwards to Lotus. Stop altitude is 6,000 feet, which is set on the MCP. And we'd usually set it again in the FMC twice, but in the desktop studio, so I'm not going to watch that. That's it, NADP1, bug about 3,500 feet. And that's it, really. And we then make sure the cabin's secure. We are fully ready for departure.
50, 40, 30, 20.
So thank you very much, Tom Knudsen, coming in with a donation. Have a stutter 3 nice flight, Captain, he says. I hope so. We had a few stutters at the start with the streaming quality, but we're all looking good here. Hope you had a good New Year, Tom. Thank you very much as well for the continued support and another donation. That's very, very kind. Oh, look at that old bagger. What is that? I haven't seen a van like that for years. Are you sure you're meant to be
50,
here?
40,
Positive rate going with
30,
£2 donation.
20,
Thank you very much.
10.
Happy New Year, Captain. About to do the same flight. Fantastic. Well, I hope to come back onto that in a bit. We'll see. But it's a great shame that you can't be following me in Broadsword 2 or Broadsword 3. But otherwise, I'd have an A380 right on my nose here. But so be it anyway. Right, so all looking good. Imagine we've got our takeoff clearance. I have no idea what the latest weather is here in Barcelona. No one's here to tell me the wind. It's 1404 knots. So slight tailwind, but I've taken that into account for our performance. So we'll confirm we've got our takeoff clearance. These lights can come on now. Strobes on. Logo just
approaching.
that off. LNAV auto throttle.
Left.
Transponder to TARA. Weather radar is on. So MCP is set. Transponder set to TARA. Strobe lights on. Landing lights are on. Checks are complete. First officer sat the crew down. And here we are lining up on runway 25 left. Oh, it's weird taxiing with the joystick. I've been using the rudder all this time.
On runway 25 left.
So looking for the runway QDM, which is 245. There we are. Bring it to a stop. Perfect. So I hope we're all ready. Seatbelts fastened on this flight to Malaga. Lovely departure. We're going to make a left turn 500 feet. Maintain our initial climb speed until 3,500 feet, and then we'll bug up and retract the flights on schedule. Nice flight along the coast. I'll give you some nice external views and some wing views as well on departure. If you're a flight deck to sim Alpaca Airlines passenger, there you are. Sat down, ready to go, brace for departure. Right, rudder pedals in a good position. Let's start the first flight of the year. So there's our timing. Thrust up to 40%. There we are, all stabilised, looking good. Push toga, set takeoff thrust. Light forward pressure on the control column. There we are, takeoff thrust set 87.5. There we are, indications all normal. A little bit of right rudder coming in at the moment. That's checked. Release the forward pressure on the control column. Keep it on the sense line, not like I'm doing. There we are. There's V1, hand off the thrust lever, rotate 2 to 2.5 degrees per second. And there we are, we're airborne, keep pulling back up to the flight directors. That's the gear coming up, and trim. Verify LNAV, it should be commanding that left turn any second. I'd be doing a turn left now in reality because of the noise. I don't want to be in trouble. There it goes. There's the flight director catching up.
1,000.
And as checked, we're going to continue accelerating at this speed. There we are. So on to the flight director still. Looking good. And we're maintaining around V2 plus 20 though, it's pretty much what the aircraft will be commanding. Looking at the PFD, I'm trying to think, is that bug should be there? Yeah, I think that is until we engage the autopilot, but we'd engage the autopilot at 1,000 feet still, but generally when you're flying a turn, it's not recommended to turn an autopilot or engage the autopilot. You can do, but it's not recommended. It's best to hand fly it. Alright, there's 3,500 feet. We can now accelerate the aircraft. The flight director will command the aircraft to pitch down. You just gently follow the indication. The flight director bar should be a little bit smoother pitching down. There's V2 plus 15, so we can select flap 1 and trim. ZIBO's worked on, if the automation was in there, it is a lot smoother and in VNAV and level change than it was before. Selected flaps up, that's the one bug. There we are, so we get the automation in now. There's Command A. It's commanded 164 knots, which you shouldn't do. We're going to bug up to 250 now. And there's no ATC, so I can select a higher flight level. Because we're in outer quiet, it's gone to vertical speed, so we can now re-engage VNAV. Let's go straight up to our cruise level. There we are, flight level 370. And there we have VNAV, set standard. Passing, 5 for flight level 370. Here comes the after takeoff checklist. So gear to up and off, auto brake to off. Start switches can come to off. Taxi light off as well. Air conditioning and pressurization diffs up to 2.9 psi climbing. Auto bleeds on. Duct pressure's good. Air conditioning and pressurization is set. Standard set. Altimeter 63. Flight level 370. After takeoff checklist is complete. Cabin crew, off you go. Get selling your paninis and croissants as we continue onwards to Malaga. There we are. Oh dearie me, what is going on here? Alright, there's one easy way to deal with that. There we are. My goodness, a lot of young individuals here. I think I need to get some moderators in here. I only have moderators I know. I think I'll have a chat with some people in Discord. Perhaps, let's say, well done managing the... get some people to perhaps filter out some of the tosh that comes out here. Of course, New Year's Day. No, no one's at school. Bell says, anti-ice not required. No, we're in absolutely no cloud at the moment. We should be just above it, and it's clear enough here not to require it. And we can get rid of that fixed ring and radial now. There we are. And passing 100, 105 for flight level 370. Do the pre-cruise checks now, so forward-facing lights can come off. APU's off, pressurization is all set. Turbulence, recall. Make sure we're monitoring 1 to 1.5 on box 2. There we are. Pre-cruise checks are complete. Greedy Ho, do you use the approach button when on a localizer approach? With the way my operator has their aircraft fitted, we don't have an integrated approach navigation. So anything that's not an ILS, we use VNAV as the vertical profile, and LNAV typically, or VORLOC if it's a localizer approach, so we'd use VORLOC only. Photo set for you, why don't we see broadside 0 on VATSIM? That's because I've logged off. Dennis Lander, Happy New Year. Greetings from the Netherlands. Dennis, Happy New Year to you as well. The only Dutch I know is very rude. Or Totsiens. That's my Dutch exhausted. List them in. Do you use the 4K version of the ZIBO mod? No, just the regular textured mod. I just don't want my PC to have to melt while streaming. Who asked what does trim air do? Someone asked what trim air does. Tom Sparks, what does trim air do? Trim air is basically a very quick overview of the air conditioning system. Bleed air, very hot pressurised air from the engines, needs to be cooled by the packs. And what the air conditioning packs do, it'll cool the air down required to keep which zone the coolest. We have these 3 zones there. What the trim air does, it then warms up the particular zone using bleed air to increase the temperature. Seems a bit inefficient. You hot air, cool it down, and then add hot air again. But it's a lot more efficient to do that instead of having the packs control each individual zone. So yeah, it controls the temperature of the zones by adding hot air. Lovely. So there's Reyes off to the right hand side. And there is the coastline of Spain, and this is the Mediterranean here. I love this new X-Vision preset, the colours. We're flying into the sun, so we should be flying we should land just before sunset. We should get some really nice colours from the preset here. If you're flying into this right now, you wouldn't see anything. You'd be blind. It's so bright. You'd have your sun visor here, and you'd struggle to see any of the landscape there. I was going to say what Microsoft Flight Sim 2020 was like with regards to that, but I completely can't say anything. Can't say anything. So when we get to top of climb, I want to try. ZIBO said he's got this route offset feature here, which again, in Europe we don't generally use this because you're always in a radar controlled environment. You can just request vectors, or they put you on a vector for spacing. But I'll have a play of it anyway, if I can remember how it works. Max 90563 Gamer, Happy New Year. I hope 2020 will be your best year. Well, I hope it'll be the best year for you as well. It's going to be quite an exciting year for me. I don't divulge too much of what's going on in my personal life, but hope to be moving house in the next few months or so. We're just getting the initial. We've not decided where we're living yet. We've got a few houses in mind and stuff, but that's very exciting for me. And it'll be I'll nearly been a captain for a year soon. I became a captain in March last year. March will be my anniversary, but I am off this winter on my new contract with work. Bob Lee, Captain, do you leave a bank angle limiter to 1 setting? We'll set it above 30,000 feet to 10 degrees. That just ensures that if you are put onto a heading by ATC where you use heading select, the aircraft will bank in heading select no more than 10 degrees. The aircraft in LNAV will not take whatever is selected on the bank angle indicator into account. It'll work out what it needs to roll to accordingly. Norsky, you're getting a man cave. I will have a man cave. I'll have an office because at the moment I stream out of one of the spare bedrooms. We have a very small house at the moment. Diogo, happy Hello from Luxembourg. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you as well. Brandon Posper, is the bug on Takeoff V2 plus 15 or V2 plus 20? If you're referring to the little white bar there, V2 plus 20. I think some operators might have it at V2 plus 15. Not 100% sure. Bill Scanlon, how do you become a member of your channel? You might be watching this on your phone. If not, you can't. But if you're watching this on a web browser, there's a join button. Memberships is well, in the UK, £5 a month, but you'll get a lot more. You know, we have a members-only Discord. I'm starting to do a few more members-only streams now. Certainly a monthly group flight I'm planning now, so it can actually do something on VATSIM, because the network at the moment for me, I think for a lot of other streamers as well, is unusable. I think certainly for the last 5-6 times I've been on VATSIM, every time I've had issues, and it's not just one person either. So yeah, you'll get that, I hope anyway. There we are. So over the Mediterranean, we'll be making landfall again over Spain, overhead Valencia. For those who would like to see geographically where we are, just get rid of all the Barcelona charts now. We are... Where's the map? Avitab, that's why. So there's Barcelona where we left. We're just essentially crossing the close, just to the west of the coastline. We'll be going right over the top of Valencia here, and then continuing overland here. It's a lovely descent. Here's Malaga, our destination, right over Sierra Nevada mountain range, over high terrain in descent, and then we should be landing on runway 13 there this evening. Harry Seal Johnson, what's your New Year's resolution? No comment. Leon Ferron, I need help with troubleshooting my X-Plane. Do you have any suggestions on who can help? Leon, I see you're a member. I guess you're not in the members-only Discord. That would be a fantastic place to start. Not only is it myself there, you've got other real-world pilots, but you've got a lot of people who really know how X-Plane works in the background. They'll certainly get you going there.
40, 30,
Donation coming in from Woody Sealbinder. Thank you very much there for the $10. Most generous. Thanks a lot. Happy New Year. Plan to do my first flight of the year for breakfast to a nearby airport with a restaurant, but couldn't find any friends willing to wake up that early after celebrating last night. Woody, if you wanted me to fly a plane this morning, I don't think I would have been in too good of a condition. I have no idea if you're referring to a real flight there, but I'm very sorry to hear that you couldn't go for breakfast. No doubt your friends would want to go for your breakfast another day of the week. But thank you very much, Woody, for the donation. I hope, regardless of the fact if you had your flight or not, you had a good New Year nonetheless. Very kind donation, thank you. Richard Wormsley, Happy New Year, Captain. I've started my journey to a commercial pilot. One thing I am worried about is the fact I don't have a degree. Will this go against me when you are trying to land a job? Do not despair, Richard. I have I have a degree, but that's because I did a degree at the during my integrated flight training. I had a degree on the side in I don't even know what my degree is in. It's a foundation degree, it's nothing special, on air transport management, but no, degree is not required. A levels are not required either. GCSEs or your equivalent wherever you're coming from qualification should suffice, although I do recommend that mathematics and science, physics-based knowledge is up to at least a GCSE standard. That's all you will require to become a pilot, although a higher level would be recommended to find it easier. For example, I didn't do A-level physics or maths, and I'd say the ATPL theory regards to maths and physics, I had to work a little bit harder than my colleagues, but it's doable for sure. Leon Ferron, thank you. But how do I join Discord? Now, if you're a member, if you go to my YouTube homepage, click the community tab, you'll see posts just for members only. I think a couple of posts or 2 or 3 posts ago, you'll see the instructions on how to join Discord. If you type in Google as well, YouTube Discord synchronization, that will also provide the guidance. I've linked there to help you join Discord. It's completely free to do. Discord's essentially a chat web browser thingy. I don't know what the exact name is, it's free to use. And it's quite widespread in the gaming community to use to communicate there. But if you need any assistance, drop me an email or drop me a message on Facebook. There we are. So cruising up nicely. You can see the coastline ahead of us in the reflection just here. That looks like the port of Valencia as well. That is the detail we have. Nice Ortho 4 XP, of course. Little island there. I've never... on a bit of a spit of land. I've never actually... I can't actually recall seeing that. But I've never flown Barcelona to Malaga before. Usually, I've been to Malaga and Barcelona a lot, but from the UK, and we're over mainland Spain a lot more, as opposed to this little bit of airspace. Well, progressing quite nicely nonetheless. Perfect. Fly Rookie, do you use the ZIBO installer to update the ZIBO? No, I don't. I have ZIBO has this private Discord where there's a few other real world pilots, myself, the AudioBird XP, and he has a private Discord link where he downloads that stuff. I haven't used the public way of downloading the ZIBO mod in months, years perhaps, so I just downloaded it that way. Like I said, this one is not available yet quite publicly. Sandeep Singe, do you prefer Jeppesen charts over Lido? Well, we don't use Lido charts at my operator. We use NavBlue charts. Actually, an Airbus company. I prefer those considerably more than the Jeppesen charts. The Jeppesen charts are great, but sometimes they're it's a bit too much information on one page. I think the NavBlue ones are a lot more simplified, easier to use. So there's one to go. Go to vertical speed, slow it down to 1,000 feet per minute. Looking good. Leon, thank you. Really enjoying your channel, by the way. Well, let's get you a Discord so you can actually utilise your membership. You know, instead of just being a member for the sake of it. Thank you very much, Leon. I'm glad you enjoy it, though. Yeah, I love this. When you get this kind of sun setting, get this kind of hazy layer, that's really, really good. I don't know if that's been modelled, but yeah, it looks fantastic. There's a view out the window. Freddie Mitchell, do I remember any of the annex numbers? God, no. Because level your ATPL. This is sort of crossing to my mind when I'm 500 feet on the approach. Amo, if I are a real pilot, yes. I've got about nearly 4,500 to 5,000 hours on the 737. Excuse me. Tanskin, to capture a VOR, do we really need to be at the altitude mentioned on the chart and no need to press VOR-lock, right? So yeah, if you're incepting a VOR, you can utilise or manipulate the FMC to capture radials. The chart altitudes, the altitude charts, if it specifically says to be at that altitude, then yes, you do need to be have that engaged, and then make sure you're at that altitude. But most of the charted altitudes are minimum altitudes, so certainly in an aircraft like the 737 you can be above it to kind of maintain what we call a continuous descent, which is the most efficient way, most fuel efficient way to fly this sort of aircraft. Tim's coming in, one of my very, very loyal members with continued generosity. £10 donation from Tim, thank you very much. Happy New Year, mate. I hope you had a good one and a good Christmas. Back to work for me tomorrow, unfortunately. I know what the 120 feet per minute's referring to. Do I still owe you from the last bet as well? Tim, 120, we're on. Thank you very much. I hope you had a great Christmas as well. I know you have a lot of kids around and stuff as well, so I hope you had a quiet one. I hope you're having a relaxing day at least as well. Thanks again, Tim. Lovely, Jubbly. Well, I've no idea why I'm not getting the old thing on the side to say someone had donated, Tim, but I did get it nonetheless. Having all sorts of little issues behind the scenes today in the stream. Michelle, hi, or Michael Michelle, I think that is. Hi, Captain. Happy New Year. Is level change only used on descent and also on climbs? It's used in both modes. However, you can use it for climb and descent, but typically it's used for descent, and we'd use VNAV for climb. And my operator VNAV is kind of like the initial mandatory pitch mode to select it, and then you can select other modes accordingly. But level change is quite common in the descent because it allows you to just basically descend as quickly as possible, maintaining a fixed speed with the thrust either closed, or you can manipulate the thrust yourself with your hand. Well, I have no idea what happened to my box, Tim, but it's on anyway. Little Joshite. I'm not going to try and pronounce that. Which flight school did you go to? Oxford Aviation Academy, 2010. Simone Tubber, which X-Vision preset are you using? I'm using one that's one of the Discord members sent to me, Richard. I have no idea. He gave it to me, he said, do this, do that, did it, and here we are. Positive rate. Tried VR and the ZIBO yesterday, and it was amazing. Would you consider getting virtual reality? Another one of my members I just mentioned as well, Richard, he has told me several times to try VR. I have tried it only on a PlayStation. I thought it was great. For me, I felt a bit woozy afterwards. I didn't like the sensation much. It was a bit strange. From a streaming perspective as well, which is pretty much all I use desktop simulators for, occasionally practice real-world procedures, and I will be as when I go back to work as well. It's, I think, a far better viewer experience to watch it like this. I've seen some VR streams, and I thought it was a bit difficult to watch from a kind of like a monitor. But I'd love to try it, of course, but I'm probably not going to invest in a VR headset. Cool. So we are approaching Valencia. Now this is something I've noticed. Ever since I've installed this preset, if I don't do anything for a while, the sim really slows down. Look, I think I've actually like temporarily crashed it. Yeah, see how like, basically the X-Plane's crashed now, which I never had before until I started using X-Vision. It's catching up now, but I sometimes get these kind of stutters where the performance drops right down. I consistently get about 30 to 50, depending if Ortho's been loaded in, but there I get these kind of stutters now, where for about 10 seconds I'm getting about 1 frame per second, but and then it's completely fine. Making good progress. And here is Valencia coming up shortly. Is that Valencia? No, that's not Valencia. That's is it Cajon? I can't never pronounce that.
50.
Richard Auersberg. That seems like a pretty generous donation. 1,000 Swedish krona. The fact it's red makes me think that you've donated far too much money, Richard. Flippin' heck. What is 1,000 Swedish krona? Jesus. Well, it's red, and I know red means a lot, so crikey. Here's for a great 2020 and everything you do for the community and a contribution towards a VR headset. Probably would have funded it, but the looks of it. Crikey, Richard. Well, Richard, not only have you donated to me, not only have you helped me considerably, I don't know what to say to that. I mean, Richard, guys, he's been in contact with me, you know, before, well over a year ago. In fact, he helped me install Ortho 4XP. And not only that, he's continuously giving me lots of stuff on the side. I feel like I should donate to you, Richard, for crikey. I'll put that towards as 80 quid. That's, yeah, oh bloody hell, Richard, that's insane. I'll have a chat with you later. That's very, very generous, very cute, very, very much, Richard. The members who come in with the donations, I don't know what to say. Ben Wright, thank you very much for the membership as well. Welcome to the channel as a member as well. And you'll get to enjoy some of the members' exclusive content, which you'll find through Discord there. I wish I hadn't asked, guys, what that was, but Richard, I'll have a word with you later. Again, that's most kind. The members are really that. I've done a lot in the last kind of when I started the membership with Discord. I mean, I should be talking to you guys in Discord, not on the public stream, but I wasn't doing enough for these guys, but I'm hoping to get you more content at least that you can enjoy as part of the membership. Infinite Flight, Boeing and Airbus, you've subbed. Thank you very much for the subscription. I don't have the subscription ping on because I sometimes get quite a few subscriptions during the stream. Donations I always say thanks to, but you might have noticed at the bottom your name might have popped up as the most recent subscriber. But thank you very much and welcome to the channel. Selby, have you ever been close to or actually experienced a tail strike? Touchwood, never experienced a tail strike. I don't know if I've ever been close to experiencing a tail strike, but the 737-800, when it comes to takeoff and landing technique, it's as long as you apply the technique, you'll be fine, but if mistreated, you can tail strike this aircraft. It's very important on strong crosswind conditions that you correctly apply the correct techniques, because it is a long aircraft, it is prone to tail strike. Tail strikes on takeoff are far more common. You can do a tail strike on landing, and tail strike on landing causes a lot of damage to the aircraft there, but thankfully none I've experienced. I've done it in the Level D simulator as a demonstration. I've shown when you do a flap 1 takeoff in this aircraft, the tail clearance limit is quite limited. In fact, it's so limiting at my operator, when you're doing a flap 1 takeoff, only the commander, the captain, is allowed to commence that takeoff there. But yeah, it could be as low as 31 centimeters, the tail clearance with flap 1. So yeah, I'm sure you'll find many online. Correct technique. You'll see whenever I'm streaming generally, I'm always talking through when I'm hand flying what I'm doing. So you can practice that procedure in the mod or whatever 737 you fly. And you'll always hear me during the rotation, pulling through the dead band, kind of like nice and slow. That's the key there. I'm going into kind of instructor mode here. But there you go. Right, directly overhead Valencia. I should think we're approaching the halfway point for this flight. In fact, our descent point is 20 minutes away. And if you want to have a look outside, there's Valencia Airport. Flown into there a few times. Very loud, sorry. And here is the city. Beautiful city, Valencia. If you've never visited, I do recommend it. Lovely aquarium. Look up Warfare, you can actually see it there. A lovely aquarium just there I've been to. Cool. Stuart Walsh, 30 centimeters isn't a lot. No, it's not a lot at all when you think of the length of the aircraft. But I've never actually operationally done a flap 1 takeoff. Flap 1 would be for sort of when you're quite obstacle climb limited. There's an obstacle on departure and you improve climb performance. Flap 5 is the kind of like nice balance between the two. The higher flap settings are for quite short field runways. So Bristol's a great example. If you're trying to take off from Bristol, you can use a higher flap setting because there's no obstacles. It's on a bit of a plateau. And usually when you select a higher flap setting in an airport like Bristol, like flap 25, you actually improve your what we call regulated takeoff weight. You can take a higher takeoff load because you're not limited by obstacles there. Which goes on, I only know about this because it's quite fresh in the mind. I'm in the process of trying out a recently updated feature in the ZIBO mod that now works correctly. I've got a bleeds off takeoff tutorial coming very soon, guys. I'm hoping in the next week. And we're going to be in Bristol doing a flap 25 takeoff, bleeds off, simulating a flight, I think all the way from Bristol to Cape Verde, which is like 6 hours, and we've loaded the aircraft to ensure that we have to do a bleeds off takeoff. It's pretty tight. You clear the end of the runway at the other end by about 50 to 100 feet, but it does work. It does work. The ZIBO mod's performance in X-Plane 11 is very good. So the figures I punch in the real Boeing OPT, I punch into the ZIBO mod, it behaves as expected in X-Plane 11. It seems to anyway. It's very, very good. Daniel Smith, I did a group flight with someone else a few days back. The ZIBO didn't want to calculate V-speeds with the flap 1. No idea. I've not tried. Probably some data missing or something. William Claridge, do you use PF, PX or SimBrief? I use SimBrief exclusively. I've never tried the other one, but SimBrief is excellent. They use, I don't know, whatever data they're using, but it always, I've compared to real-world flight plans, are very, very close. Lovely. Oh, Richard, that's very, very kind. Right, I see a lot of people asking questions about airports, why they have X-ray Yankee Zulu approaches. Well, Malaga is one of those examples. The reason is different approaches uses different nav aids, or most typically different missed approaches. They're based off different nav aids. Essentially, it's the same ILS you're using. We're using Zulu today. That's only from operational experience to the fact I know we use Zulu there typically. But anyway, we'll start setting up for the approach into Malaga anyway, so do bear with me whilst I start punching some things in the FMC nav aids and sort, and then we'll discuss it there. Malaga's a lovely approach. There's quite a few things which are a little bit different to other airports. Slightly steeper ILS here due to terrain, so we'll discuss some of the issues there, and then we'll go accordingly. So into the FMC, I always start here. 250 below 100. Execute. Forecast. ZIBO's now correctly updated this, so when you put the flight level here on the left, you don't have to execute it. That is correct as to the real aircraft, and you do have to execute the winds. Before you had to execute the flight level, but now that has been fixed. Oh crikey, Zibo, you wanted me to try a route offset as well. We'll try that in a second. Let me just get this information in the FMC descent page, and let's give VNAV all the information it needs. So 319 at 16. You could probably get away with these sort of winds without putting any forecast winds in, because it's such light wind stay. It would be a really nice day to go flying, nice and smooth. No jets, no shears. 4 knots. QNH in Malaga is 1031, same as Barcelona. High pressure, pretty much sat right over Spain today, which gives very settled, benign weather, which we like as pilots. Certainly in a 737 in real life, anyway. So just before we get on the rest of it here, Zibo wanted me to test the route offset feature. So what is route offset? I've never used it. In Europe, typically if ATC wants to get you out of the way, they just put you on a heading. They just go broadside 0 on turn left heading 10 degrees, due traffic or separation or whatever. Offset, I don't know, maybe oceanic, I have no idea. Again, I'm not oceanic trained, so I'm not sure. But essentially what you can do, you press offset here. Now, what would you do? Am I expecting something here? Let's put left 5. Is it it? Yes, left 5. We'll say we'll start it at Astro and come back on at Zebar. So let's go Astro. And then Zebar. And we're just telling the FMC to route 5 miles left of track from those points. Now, if you're watching Zibo, we should get a little white dash line. I'm pretty sure, just prior to execution to confirm it, I've executed it. I don't know if that's working. No, I don't think that's worked, Zibo. It is still in testing, so he did say it might not work. I was worried the wings might fall off if I executed that or something, but we're still going in a straight line. But that hasn't worked. Am I meant to? I feel like I meant to. I feel like there should be more stuff here, like execute it perhaps. But no, that hasn't worked. Back to the drawing board. but that's why the ZIBO mod's so good. It's constantly being tested, constantly being features added. And I mentioned quite recently before, the only things that's really missing is fine-tuning the automation continuously, VNAV and the FMC. Everything else, the systems are all there. The air conditioning system has been modelled extremely accurately. All this works as per the real aircraft, pretty much there. The hydraulics, the fuel flow, it's there, so we'll still work at it. Nope, not again. So PMDG is still better. Well, with regards to putting the offset feature in, maybe that does work. I think that does work in the PMDG, but like with many aircraft stuck in prepared or FSX, it does fly a little bit artificially perhaps, but we'll see what 2020 has in store. Right, anyway, we'll continue with the rest of the setup. So we did the descent page, fix rings in for runway 13, our planned landing runway today. We're going to have 4 miles, lovely day down there, 10 miles for no later than flap 1. We're at 37,000 feet, 37 times 3, it's going to be 111. That's in. So we have this green dash line, which roughly corresponds with our top of descent point. Now let's get our charts. There's Malaga. So starting off with the star we're interested in today is the Vibus to Quebec. Is that... There it is, top Vibus to Quebec. The arrival we want is the ILS Zulu for runway 13. Again, I did describe very briefly why we have different ones here, but it is Zulu typically in use in Malaga. And then from there we want the aerodrome chart, which is going to be just the airport chart. Now, I'm going to probably stay off the network because I'm pretty confident if I'm logging back on, there'll be a Australian-themed airline holding on either 12 or 13. So if you bear with me, guys, I will be off the network for this approach and landing, but I will nonetheless describe everything I'm doing. I'll even simulate perhaps some vectors, but I might just follow the VNAV profile in because we can't really take many shortcuts on this approach due to terrain anyway. So that's all selected. Just for the ILS, then we'll tune it up. 1095. I will do the ILS today. I was thinking of doing a localizer, but I just wanted to demonstrate the differences here. You'll notice on this, Navtech charts are different to my operators. There we are. It's 3.2 degrees, a little bit steeper, slightly different way to, certainly some things you need to think about there. Donation coming in from KPS through Streamlabs. Thank you very much there, KPS, for the direct donation. £11.61, thank you. Happy New Year. Been watching for a while now and I've gotten into simming a bit myself. Your content has been has also broadened my knowledge in my job as an aircraft mechanic. Just a small thank you for all your good work. Well, KPS, thank you very much. You have a very important job yourself, and I take my hats off to you guys, because when I look at you fixing something, you know, beginning of last year, the EFIS panel broke when I was doing my commander grade training, and the line training captain was looking at me with his arms folded. What are you going to do about that then? I came up here, called the engineer, and he pulled this apart, and he was telling me all about the intricacies of inside. No, I just said, I don't have that sort of mind at all, KPS. So I always take my hat off to you guys, the way you can look at something, fix it. I'm useless when it comes to that. But no, thank you for the donation. I'm glad you can at least see perhaps on the other side, and I'll make sure when I'm filling out the tech log I put as much information as possible in for you. Great. Have a lovely evening. Right, so yeah, I was saying it's slightly sleeper, 3.2 degrees. We'll discuss some of the impacts of that. It's only 0.2 degrees steeper than usual, and you might be going, well, that's not much difference, but you'd be surprised. That can make quite a bit of difference with regards to operating an aircraft like the 737, which is quite efficient, quite slippy aeroplane. So the ILS frequency we want is 109.5. Oh, it's on standby, which is pretty useful. I think wherever I was testing it last at the same frequency, there's only a few. Final approach course is 133. There we are, that is set. And 3.9 height check at 1445. That's points there, so it's 4 miles off the ILS ident, which is Golf Mike. Minimums then for this approach. So category C here, 295. I think some of the other approaches have different minima based off different missed approach climb gradients, but I think they're just fixed for this approach. But we have the minimum set. Remember, guys, this is the heights at which, if we're not visual, we have to conduct a missed approach. Not an issue, obviously, today, but we set it always. RVR then, based off you having a heads-up display, automatic flight director 750, otherwise it's 550 meters. Again, not an issue. So that's all looking good. We'll discuss the routing shortly. We just want to make sure we got everything set in the FMC. All looking good. The missed approach is based off Mike Lima Golf, which is 1355. There we go, 1355. Right, so let's have a little chat about Malaga for when you are next flying in here virtually. Some of the things you need to think about. So, if I was doing the briefing, we'd be getting out our airfield briefing documentation, discussing some of the issues here. The most common issues here are shortcuts to the approach, because you can have high energy, and especially with our routing today, there's a lot of high terrain, so you'll be really aware of the MSA and be careful there. It also discusses how Malaga Airport is used by Spanish air traffic controllers for training, so there can be sometimes quite a bit of a, not a language barrier, they speak English, but quite a thick accent, so it could be difficult to perhaps understand that. Because they're training, we're all human, they might make errors, so you just have to be aware. We're human too, we make errors in the flight deck too. It's about spotting those errors, making sure aware that they could happen to help mitigate if they do happen, to get yourself out of the bad situation. So that's it. It discusses there's 2 runways, 1, 2, 1, 3. Make sure you land on the correct runway. That's quite important. And also about how this glide slope is quite steep at 3.2 degrees. Well, I say quite steep, a little steeper than usual, to be something aware of. It also discusses here, don't arm approach until 10 miles. That's because this glide slope, perhaps due to terrain or local interference, it scallops before 10 miles. And when I say scallops, the glide path can move up and down. If the aircraft is armed on approach and engaged in glide slope, if the glide slope starts moving, the aircraft can be quite aggressive in pitch and following it, and it's quite uncomfortable. I've had it before going into an airport, which I won't mention who, because it'll give away my operator, and it can be quite uncomfortable as the aircraft follows the glide slope there. So again, this will be unique to real life operations as opposed to flying in a desktop simulator. So that's all discussed. We'd have a look at the information we plugged into the FMC, and eventually we'd have a look at our arrival routing. So here it is. It's the Baylen, Baylen to Quebec, that's the one I always do. The Vibus to Quebec. So we're coming in from the northeast from Vibus, and it says to be at or above flight level 100. So zooming into the FMC, let's go to Vibus. There we go, at or above flight level 100. Now that's fine. You'll see the next restriction is 170 or below. Now you might be thinking we were going to be around 100. We won't be. If you delete this, you can temporarily see what height you're going to be at. There you go, 23,900 feet. That's fine. We'll leave the restriction in anyway, and we'll make sure we're above 10,000 feet. Back to the plan page. After Vibas, we're going to be going to the Granada VOR. Now, this restriction here is to be complied with, max 250 at or below flight level 170. Now, this restriction here will leave you a little bit low on profile. You can actually, again, delete it temporarily to see where we'd ideally be at. Yeah, look, 22,000 feet. So this will put us 5,000 feet low, but we'll comply with the restriction. I have no idea why it's there in reality. It could be airspace constraints, most likely, but we'll comply with that. And we'll have a brief level segment at flight level 170. From there, it would be Granada to Delta 242 November. That's this point here, which is represented by that, and eventually getting to Tolsu, which is the initial approach fix, which is charted there. Now, usually, what I would do at Tolsu is put 220 knots or below, as it's the initial approach fix, which is it's usually it's ICAO standard ruling and stuff. I'm going to keep the speed up slightly. I'm going to start slowing down to 220 just before we turn here. Now, here's a threat. In reality, you might get a slight shortcut here for vectors, but I actually want to continue monitoring VNAV to make sure it's working correctly in the mod, so I'm going to leave it on the magenta line today. A, because I want to see if it's working, B, because we're not on VATSIM. I don't anticipate any vectors, and I'm not logging back onto the network today. So Tolsu 70, you can see we cannot go below that charted level until Tolsu. We've got 70 above. That's excellent in the FMC. So Tolsu's the initial approach fix. A lot of high terrain here. It's the Sierra Nevada mountain range. How far are we from top of descent on that anyway? 47 miles, very good. So from Tolsu, you have a transition. We'd anticipate vectors in real life, but we'll fly the transition today. We'll imagine there's no radar available, which could possibly happen. And you can see from Tolsu, you've got this initial approach fix at 3.3 miles from Martine on the 079 radial. That's represented by 079 Delta Charlie, representing approximately 3 miles. And then we'll make a left turn via this point here to Nepur, which is on just before the extended centre line, which is this point here. So you intercept onto kind of like a 20-mile farm. That's a lovely approach, lots of terrain around. You don't want to be going much lower than that. Onto the ILS then. Sorry, we're still on the ILS chart here. From Nepur, we can step down after from Nepur to 5,000, and you can see here the aircraft in VNAV, ZIBO's calculated it to slow down automatically, which is great. We'll leave that in. I'd usually be doing 220 knots already. And you can see, look, we've got 5,000 feet or above. Now, I don't know if this is a Jeppesen thing, because the FMC's loaded here. There is no at or below 5,000 feet restriction here at CF13. The CF13 point is, if we zoom in, it's quite far out, and that's just going to get you quite low to the ground. I'm not sure if that's charted. I've double checked on our charts, my work charts, and it's not there. So I'm actually going to change that to 5,000 feet or above, and that's going to put us at 5,967. That puts us far nicer on the glide slope there. So that's coded in, and next waypoint is here 4,200 where we intercept the ILS at 12 miles, pretty much 11.7 DME, and that's coded hard. So that's great. That puts us in a position. VNAV's going to lock onto this to get us onto the ILS and descend down. So we know that VNAV is going to work for us. There's the Sierra Nevada mountain range looking very nice. I've been skiing here before. Very, very nice. Not as good as the Alps, but there are a few mountain ranges. Right, let's finish the briefing. 1095 for the ILS, that's active. Once, twice. Final approach course is set on the MCP 133. Minimums, we've cross-checked both sides. We can only set it once in the ZIBO mod. We can independently set it if you wish, but I have it set so the FO sets whatever the captain says. So much for confirmation bias. Right, and then if we have to go around, it's quite a tricky missed approach here actually. You have to climb on runway heading to 2.4 DME off the ILS, off the VOR, which is on standby, Mike Lima Golf. It's a left turn and a right turn to intercept Zilvi. Look at the stop altitude. 2,200 feet, very, very low to the ground, so I have no idea why they want you to be so low. It's a bit of a pain, but that's what the missed approach is. Nikolai Olsden, thank you very much for the donation. Can you have more than one Avitab PDF open? Yes, you can. At the moment, you can see, look, I only have the operational flight plan, but in your Avitab folder, if you put a second PDF, you can press this to, well, I say can you have more than one open? You can switch between PDFs. You can have more than one PDF. To have two open on one page, I don't think you can. But yes, thank you for the donation anyway, Nikolai, for the question there. Right, so that's it. The missed approach is low. We've discussed the rest. And we mentioned how, you can see how it's coded, so VNAV's going to behave correctly. Look, 3.2 degrees. How do you need to cater for this? Well, it depends a lot on what the wind's doing. If you've got a tailwind, get your flaps out prior to getting on the glide slope. Otherwise, you can forget it. If you're on the glide slope at 3.2 degrees and you're clean doing 220 knots, it's going to be very difficult to slow this aircraft down. You're going to have to use a combination of flaps, speed brake, even perhaps drop the gear. But make sure you get that speed brake out before you select flap 15. We'll see how it's managed. I've never flown a 3.2 degree ILS. We'll make sure that the ZIBO's coded it. I don't even know if the Pappies are set to 3.2 degrees. It's this is Payware scenery. It is from Aerosoft or Simwings Windsock Simulations or something like that. Multiple or coordinated effort from a lot of companies, but I've not flown this approach. I need to take the screenshot thumbnail, and I hand flew it just to get the screenshot for this video. But we'll see today how it works. But yeah, that's the briefing. I hope you found that interesting. I know a lot of you. I got a few messages in from people saying, can you do more detailed briefings? That's what I'm here to see. So let me know in the chat if you want to see more briefings like that, so you can perhaps practice these approaches. Let me know. You know, some of the streams are a little bit more chilled out. I said today would be a chilled out stream, but I've got into work mode. I'm working far too hard. That's it. The only thing we would need to discuss is the performance. We'd punched the data into the OPT. And landing off runway 13 here, nice long runway, 3,200 metres. We'll go for Echo 2 or Echo 1. I'd usually be going for flap 30 or to break 3 here. Obviously, we'd have to check performance. Arriving with 3 tons, remember we needed 2.4 to get to our alternate, or I think it was 2.6. So we've got about 10-15 minutes holding time prior to having to divert. 500 to burn. Our landing weight today is going to be 61.7 tons. As I said, we're going to use flap 30. Or to brake 3. We'll go for second detent reverse thrust for brake cooling. And then we'll make a left turn to vacate onto stand. That's it. Cool. Look at that for timing. Top of descent's just coming up as well. Lovely jumping. Oh look, my PC. Alright. I need to have a look into X-Vision because my it's gone really slow. Look at my frames here. 2 frames per second. Only started doing, I think, this since I had X-Vision. Never did this before. It does it occasionally. Look, it slows right down, and then it just goes fine. 0.7 frames per second. 0.8. Ugh. I think I need to do a bit of research into this. There we go. Back up to normal now. 30 frames per second. I think it might be to do with ortho loading in as well, because that comes off a conventional drive. Right, reset MCP altitude, approaching top of descent, broadsword 01, descend and maintain flight level, what was that restriction coming up? 170 to be level at Granada. So broadsword 01, descend flight level 170, level at Granada. That would be a typical restriction. There we go. List them in, no questions. I hope not. More in-depth briefings are awesome, good. Dougal McTavish, I got your message on Discord as well. I just wanted to say that. I think that would be a good idea. I'll bring it up in the Discord afterwards. Certainly, I think when streaming on days like this, it could do with some additional assistance in the chat. There we are. So descent target speed is .77, just creeping a little bit above it. Mod does have a tendency to do that, but again, the real aircraft can be
50,
close to that too.
40, 30, 20, 10.
Martin Skov coming in with a donation. Thank you very much. 45 Danish kroner. Happy New Year, he says. Well, Martin Skov, Happy New Year to you, and thank you very much for spending some of that with me on board this New Year's flight on Alpaca Airways, Broadsword, Flight Deck to Sim Airlines flight to Malaga. Chartered service, 162 fair paid passengers. Thank you very much. Nope again. Can airline pilots bring non-alcoholic drinks like Pepsi with them to the cockpit? Yes, no problem bringing non-alcoholic drinks. Do not bring any alcoholic drinks into the cockpit, please. But no issues like that. Pilot Boy, how did you know how much your landing weight would be by putting it in the FMC? It's a nice simple equation. On the progress page here, you have the actual fuel quantity on board. So that's the sum of these figures here. We have 3.5 tons. It's rounded down to 3.4. We're arriving in Malaga with 3.1, so we have to burn in between there 300 kilos. That's that minus this figure. We go to this page, which is our gross weight, which always refreshes to your actual gross weight, and then you just simply punch in that figure. So 300 kilos minus this is 61.7. And you'll notice, it probably won't do much now, but if you're calculating this with 2 tons of fuel to burn, your VREF speeds will change, and you'll notice, look, 61.7. If I go off the page, come back, it reverts back to your actual gross weight. So that's what we did there. Dougal McTavish, over 500 viewers and only 200 likes. Not good enough, Dougal, is it? Thank you very much, Dougal. And I did see earlier that you were getting that. Don't forget to thumbs up the video. 529 watching. There should be 529 likes. Maybe 1 dislike from the A380 guy, or whoever's an Airbus pilot, or whoever is... Ugh, you know, I've never understood that, but do as you wish. But I do appreciate the support. Right, approaching 30,000, or just passing 30,000. There's 25 degrees. Let's have a look outside. And it's obviously the most rewarding part of being an airline pilot, is being able to be paid and look out the window. And it's really, really nice scenery with the ortho. We don't do enough of this on the streams, do we? There we are. It is very good, this ortho 4XP. Hashtag flight deck to Sim Airlines. Hashtag great flight. Hashtag butter. There we are. And you can see X-Vision's doing its job, even though I think it could be the source of my slight glitches. But you see how this sky is going as this bluey purple colour? Really nice to see. There we are. So there you go. VNAV doing a fantastic job. ZIBO's doing a fantastic job maintaining its target speed quite nicely, about 4 knots fast. 170 is this restriction at Granada. We've got a new top of descent point as well. We've got a decel for the 250 at Granada as well. The FMC, a lot of effort from ZIBO has been put into the FMC now to make sure it's worked. Compared to a year ago, it's really improved considerably, pretty much mirroring its counterpart there, its real life counterpart. So really cannot stress enough how much work's gone into that. Sumpy1533, good afternoon, Captain. Happy New Year to you as well. Positive rate. I'm not using Ortho, but my sim is still cracking. It might not be X-Vision, but prior to something I've done, I've never had those stutters like that before. Last stream we had it at 50 feet and it was well, it just ruined the landing effectively. The members only stream, which I publish publicly. Fingers crossed we don't get that at 50 feet again. But something is causing something to have a little bit of a slowdown occasionally. And I found when I'm testing one, if I've gone off for 10 minutes, jump into the flight deck, and then start moving around, that's when it really drops the frames there. Josh, hi Flight Deck Sim, do you need A-level maths to be a commercial pilot? No, you don't, but I would recommend it if you have the ability to study it, or feel like you can get on with it. Oh, hello, Trouble. Jack's come in. He just nudged the office door open. You okay? Yeah, fine. My partner's coming in as well, that's why I thought Jack nudged it. Hello, buddy. For those of you who are new to the stream, Jack is my 5-year-old Labrador. Or nearly 5 anyway, and he's got to have an operation in 6 weeks, unfortunately, because he's got a broken tooth. He's going to have the root removed. So we're very sad times in the Flight Deck Sim household at the moment. And he's shaking his head. Good boy. All right. Yes. Good stuff. See you in a bit. I'm all right, thank you. Cheers. Bless him. And bless her. Prioritise. Hugo, you've just come over and liked the video immediately. Brilliant. Thank you very much for that. Approaching 20,000 feet. Again, we'll be making regular checks on the overhead panel to ensure the air conditioning and pressurisation is keeping its self-efficient. As I said, I've never had any issues in 8 years I've been operating this aircraft, but you never know. Things will break. You always need to check it. And we're approaching the restriction at Granada. Looking good. You can check the chart as well. This would be a nice one to fly in the 200, I think. A bit of nice old school RMI navigation. I think there's a lot of aircraft we need to fly. I want to do an Airbus. So much I want to do. So many virtual flights we could get done. I think the DC-3, I really enjoyed streaming that. I think the Airbus one's a laugh. The ZIBO mods, obviously, you know, we're preaching what I do every day. You know, you guys like that. It's so much. It's so exciting. I love it. Clive, woof woof. Happy New Year to Jack. I'll send you regards to him. Thank you very much. There we are. So let's see how the mod behaves. We're going a tad fast, so I'd anticipate flying overhead Granada perhaps a little bit quicker than 250 because the decel point's based off your based off you doing your correct target speed, which is 280. So we're going to 170. The speed's bugged back. We should make the flight level, but we're going a tad fast. You know, you can advise ATC out. We're just reducing to 250. No problem. Shouldn't be an issue. The reason they typically have speed restrictions is to make sure that every aircraft from this stage onwards is going the same speed. It's a lot easier for them to sequence because different operators, they'll be flying different cost indexes. One aircraft will be going 250 knots, the next one doing 290, another 300. So at this point they just start sequencing everyone in, getting everyone to do the same speed. There we are. There's Granada down there. Making excellent progress. What a lovely, lovely evening as well. Wojtek, I miss why order break is set to 3. Typically, every time we calculate the landing, well, I say typically every time we calculate the landing performance, we try and work out where to vacate. I've just set order break 3. We'll try and make the first high-speed exit, and the calculation is done off the OPT app. Or we can do it using a table, which I will try and demonstrate one stream as well. I'll try and find a table online which is free to use for me to try it. Mike, are you using Ortho 4XP? We are. God, Aiton, have you tried the X-Plane 11 Concorde? Maybe too fast for you. Oh, that's a bit of a dig. Probably is far too fast for me. My brain doesn't think quick enough. I'm thinking about it, God, Aiton. I think we will. I just need to do a bit more research into it. I said that last stream. But with Christmas and New Year being here, I've had to put a little bit of this down to the side. But I will have a lot more time to look into and discuss potential next options for streaming in what aircraft we're going to go in. So here we are, nicely cruising towards Tulsu. As soon as you get to Tulsu, we'll switch to the ILS chart for the initial approach 6. We've got a top descent point regenerated from flight level 170. You can re-enter the cruise altitude here if you wish. usually to fly at a more optimal speed, but we have to fly 250. We'll leave the FMC in the kind of descent phase at the moment, and prior to this, well, we'll say 80 gave us the clearance, broadsword 0 on when ready, descend flight level 70, and again that'll allow VNAV to automatically descend at the top of descent point there. The real and official Chris Park, are these speed restrictions strictly enforced? Would it be fine if you're above the restriction but slowing down to it? Oh, sorry, the chat's just gone. Would it be the same for altitude restrictions? Now, if you had to comply with one of them, altitude or speed, altitude every time. That is far more important. Make sure you comply with the altitude restriction, and that's technically a level bust as well if you don't. If you're unable to make the altitude, advise ATC and they'll usually tell you not to worry about it, or give you tell you simply the best as you can. But if you under the premise, don't worry about it, that's very much the wrong premise. Speed is secondary to a altitude restriction. If you can make the speed restriction, great. If not, once you make the altitude one, you can typically slow down quite quickly in level flight anyway. So big threat here, if you got a shortcut to a kind of a 10-mile final here, we'd be very high. In fact, if ATC told me now at 170 turn left to a 10-mile final, I'd probably refuse it. I'd say, can I stay on this heading for another 2 minutes, just get the aircraft down and then turn, and be very, very high otherwise. There we are, top of descent again, and now going down to 70. I think if you look out the window, Malaga is over here somewhere in this area. See, I do get those stutters, but the performance now 40 frames per second. That's fine. Right, approximately 15 minutes to landing. We'll pop the seatbelt sign on. Lighting a bit, that's all good. There we are. Look at that, looks really good. Is that, I guess that's my X-Vision preset doing that. That's lovely. Nice reflection from the lake, exactly where you need it. How pretty. Tesla guy, guess nobody likes my question. I have no idea what your question was. Do sometimes miss them. You asked it a lot. Let me just scroll over. Let's have a look here. Tesla, I've asked 3 or so times, so this is the last one. Very demanding user you are. But what would you do? But would you do the VHHX runway 13 approach on stream if you find time to do so? Well, I'm not sure which airport that is. I have a very long list of requests. In fact, sometimes I do little flights like this. Just because it's quite easy for me to do a Barcelona Malaga. I'm familiar with the route and give you a bit more information. But I am planning some, I think, Samos I want to get done in the next month or so. But no, I don't even know whether it's Kaitak. No doubt I can jump into Kaitak at some point, but I have a lot of requests there. Please be very patient in the chat if you do have a question. I'm trying to do this and look at that at the same time, so quite a few things to spot there. Axel 20J, is order break 3 needed in Malaga? If you want to make the exit, yes. If you want to use the whole runway, no. So here we are. I'm planning to vacate here, Echo 2, so order break 3 works out quite nicely. Order break 2 for Echo 1, off, or 1 for the end. But you want to try and vacate the runway expeditiously where possible. Right, so here we are. We've left Tulsu, so we can ditch the star chart now. Inbound to Martin. Here we are on... Where's the little red arrow? Oh, we're up there, apparently. Ah, so this is not to scale, I guess. I guess that also means the chart, as well as where the aircraft position, isn't to scale there. But you remember on the star, we were directly overhead Tulsu, which makes sense. So this whole white area, don't ever expect your little Avitab red aeroplane to be there. But otherwise, VNAV, ZIBO, excellent. Like, fantastic. Look at it. Where I'd expect it, creeps up a few knots sometimes in reality. X-plane, remember, it is absolutely doing everything now. It's commanding lift, it's calculating how much lift is made, it's calculating airflow. So the fact that it's so reliable and ZIBO's program this is, again, incredible. Really, really is. And what a lovely time to fly this approach into Malaga. I did try and time the stream 3 o'clock today to ensure that we had like a little bit of a dusky setting, because I wanted to look at this X-Vision preset. As I said, the Malaga airport we're flying to, published by Aerosoft from SimWings and Windsock Simulations. I purchased it yesterday just for today. Max, NGX, NGXU or 737 ZIBO in terms of system depth. I think the NGX is very detailed, probably trumps the ZIBO slightly, but ZIBO within the realms of X-Plane has created, I think all the systems here are working as correctly expected, especially the air conditioning system, as I was mentioning earlier. Yeah, it's close, but for me, you have to question, why does a 737 pilot use the ZIBO mod and not the NGX? It's not just the NGX. NGX is good, but it just, when I had bad experience with it when I was making my tutorials, it crashed all the time, and that's probably not NGX's fault. It's probably my FSX as well. But when I switched to X-Plane 11, I was really like, whoa, this is a nice simulator. Right, anyway, there's 100 for 7-0. Let's do the post-cruise checks. Lights will pop the logo on as well. APU's off. Pressurization again, checking. Looking good. All set here. Verify seatbelts on. Recall. And we have approximately 10 minutes to landing. Going a tad fast. 10 knots. Just keep an eye on that. Now, it's quite a tight turn here. This decel shouldn't be off the magenta line. I think that's just the way it's been programmed. It should be on it. But it's quite a tight turn here. Should be doing 250. And that will begin to position us onto the localizer for this approach. Lovely. So speed's good, that's reducing, should be doing 250, that's fine, and we should keep decelerating. Looks like VNAV's updated, sometimes does that on the real aircraft too, but we might have to add a bit of thrust here just so our speed doesn't get too low, which I'm doing now. I'm adding the thrust myself. There we are, back onto the VNAV profile, so I'm going to go back to idle thrust. So it just updated itself slightly on the turn. Cool. So inbound now to Nepur. We can go down to 5,000 feet, and we'll set the local QNH, which I think. Yeah, I need to have a chat about ZIBO with this. If you set the QNH, it blows off the VNAV profile. If you've put the QNH here, it shouldn't do that. It should allow, or the VNAV profile should take the QNH into account, which I will have a chat with ZIBO. And you can see, look, the speed's now going to obviously run away because it thinks we're high, and that's because I've set the QNH, which it shouldn't do if you've preset it in the FMC. But QNH 1031 is set. Passing 7,800, 5,000 feet. Standby altimeter set. Just got the speed brake back because we do need to get back to the clean speed now as well, because it will be 3.2 degrees quite shortly. Clive Alexander, thank you very much for joining the channel as a member. Appreciate the dedicated support, and I hope you enjoyed the members only content, which you'll find through the Discord. Thank you very much, and welcome to the channel. Right, we can slow the speed brake now because the aircraft is slowing down quite nicely. From Nepal, you can see we've got the 5,000 feet charted altitude. We need to then eventually step down to 4,200, but no lower than 5,000 feet until we get to the CF13 point, which is at 16.5 DME. And again, X-Plane is very late at providing the idents for the ILS. You have to be. You never get the idents here until it's far too late. I think it was 15 miles, I think it comes in. So it's quite hard, look. You try to get the DME distance here at 16.5, but you can't get it. DME usually is a lot further out. You can't use the ILS until you're closer. But I quite like to have this DME distance to cross-check the heights, but there's nothing. There it is, look, sorry. 20.4, yeah. Okay, fair enough. But you typically get it a little earlier than that. Right, so there's the glide slope coming in, localizers coming in. We're going to get a little bit closer before we start aiming anything, but you can see, look, on our VNAV profile, we're clean now, but notice how the speed's starting to trickle away from us on the path. You've got to be very careful of this. This is completely normal. This is completely normal. If you're clean, you could expect the speed to probably trickle up quicker. If you've got tailwind as well, that speed will be woof, shooting up now as we try and maintain this. So that is very, very realistic. And we will soon select flap 1. As you can see, look, the speed looker, you see how it's getting up to 220, 221. Let's go flap 1 because I don't want to accelerate as we approach our runway. So flap 1 will match the speed. VNAV path is now engaged because we're in the approach logic. And here it is, look, pitching for 3.2, flap 1, and notice, look, not good enough. That is completely normal. I'd expect this with flap 1 on a 3.2 degree ILS. We can step down to 4,200 feet as well, so the aircraft doesn't level off. So this is why you've got to be very careful. Flap 1 clean, 3.2, not good enough on a 737. Let's go flap 5. This is why the ZIBO mod is so good. It's slippy, just like its real life counterpart. There we go, flap 5's doing something, it's helping us slow down, it's giving us a little bit of extra drag we need, and we'll just keep an eye on that. I don't want to be doing more than 200 knots at about 10 miles. We can arm Vorlock now. Localizer capture, runway heading 133 is set. Again, keeping a close eye on that speed. Thankfully there's no tailwind today, so flap 5 seems to be helping out, bringing the speed back quite nicely. In fact, I would expect it to be a little bit slippier for flap 5, a little bit slippier. Sometimes it just holds the speed quite nicely. Right, we'll arm approach now, because otherwise we'll level off. I said we usually wait till 10, but that'll do. Glide slope capture. Missed approach altitude, 2,200 feet is set. And we're nicely established on this. I think it's calculating it correctly. 3.2 degree ILS. We can check it. We can do some height checks on the way down to make sure it is 3.2 degrees, because these height checks are based off that. Right, would have done the approach check. This Golf Mike Mike's identified. Approach armed courses are set. Imagine the cabin is secure for landing. All looking good. Flap 5's working out quite nicely, actually. Again, I'd expect it to be a little bit slippier with flap 5. On a 3 degree ILS, flap 5 at this weight, it'll kind of hold the speed. The fact that we're at 3.2, it's slowing down. It's probably a little bit draggy, but it's very close. In fact, flap 5's good enough for us today. So 9 miles, see if it is 3.2 degrees. 9 miles, 3,160. There's 9 miles. I'd say that's pretty close. 3,160, yeah. So this is definitely 3.2 degrees for sure. Definitely 3.2 degrees. Cool, so approaching 8 miles, nicely configured. I'm just going to go flap 10, just hold that speed, make sure we don't go any faster. You get your landing rates in as well. I haven't worked out how to... I know, is it Captain Canada? He does like a pricing, doesn't he? I don't know, I want to work out how to do that. So whoever says the closest wins, but you can get your guesses in. It's New Year's Day. There's only one thing I can do, and that's butter it. I'm such a flight sim streamer now. I would never have said that a year ago. Looking good though, flap 10's holding the speed very nicely, thrusts come up, that's completely fine. Looking good. We can arm the speed brake. God, Atom at -1,000. My goodness, more faith. But yes, looking good. We've got 1-2 there. 1-3, don't want to land on that one. I have landed on that one once. And we'll wait to about 5 miles. Lovely sunset approach into Malaga. Cool. Right, well, approaching 4 miles. So, gear down. Flap 15, match speed. Landing checklist of flaps. Start switch is continuous. Recall check. Speed brake. Oh, green light. Landing gear. Down. 3 green. Auto brake set to 3. Holding on our landing flap, which is flap 30. Which we can select now. I think the wind is less than 10 knots. I have absolutely no idea, but it was very light when we left. I doubt it's any stronger. So we'll just set VRF +5. Landing flap then 30. 30 green light. Lights are on. Landing clearance received. We are cleared to land. Here we go. First landing of 2020 on a desktop simulator. Thrust looks like where I'd expect it. Around 57, 59%, flat 30 at this weight. The ZIBO mod continues to excel. Right, let's disconnect autopilot auto throttle. 2 reds, 2 whites. Got a 7 knot headwind by the looks of it, that's good. Speed's good, only the slightest changes in thrust.
Approaching runways.
That's good. RAS would say that if it wasn't sure which runway you have. It should say approaching runway 13 as well.
Approaching.
There we are.
13.
Happy days. Top of the amber bar, fully stabilised. Continue.
Approaching minimum.
Checked. Speed's good. Just a tiddly bit high. Slightly steeper. Remember 3.2, so the pappies are set to that as well, so it looks like you're just coming in steeper. Let's continue. I hope the computer doesn't stutter, please. Now I've done it. Look, it go over the threshold about 50 feet.
50, 40, 30,
Check.
20,
Close.
10.
Hold the attitude. Hold the attitude. Where's that runway? Come on, that's a bit of a float. Oh, that's naughty. Oh dear. Speed breaks up. Reverse as normal. Here comes reverses. There we are. 100 knots. 80 knots. Manual braking. 60 knots. Idle reverse. There we are. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Malaga. Local time in Spain, 6 o'clock in the evening. Another on-time flight deck to sim arrival. There we are, vacating the high-speed Echo 2. We can stow the reverses, speed brake up, and select flaps up. Lovely jubbly. We've made it. Landing lights off. Strobes to steady. Transponder to out off. Trim we'd reset as well. Auto brake to off. Oh gosh, yeah, I'm using my joystick now. We'll go straight onto stand here. Let's get the APU up and running. We'll park right in the corner here. Ugh. I'm still trying to use my rudder pedals. I've just only turned on my joystick quite recently to taxi. There we are. Weather radar off because that's one I always forget in a desktop simulator. Flight directors off. Add a bit of thrust. Set this to 3,100. This to 0. Or 100, sorry. Start switches off. And pros off. I've become so efficient at doing that in a desktop simulator. I'm pleased with myself. There we are. And here's stand 26. Let's go for that one. Did I start the APU? I did. I should have been timed quite nicely. I've actually got an Instagram picture taken about a year ago. My last ever flight as a first officer, and I was on that stand there. Go on my Instagram, you'll see that stand 28. I took a picture right there. Right, we're on the stand. Oh, it's that A. What does that A mean? I never understood. APU's available. On bus. Look. Chief pilot's here. He's not happy with me. He's got his arms crossed. Can you explain to me why you land so hard? Right, brake, stop. There we are. Parking brake is set. Lovely. We've got 2 blues, 1 red. Edges are dead. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Malaga. And what on earth does that mean? I have absolutely no idea. I've seen it before. But we're in here in one place. Open that. Anti-collision light off at 20%. Oh, it's a little bit. It's very quick to decelerate. There we are. We've made it. And here comes the air bridge as well. It's making some sort of bell sound anyway. Brilliant. Thank you very much. We'll get the bridge attached, and we'll have a look at some of the comments prior to the replay as well. I hope you liked the landing. It was okay. It floated a little bit. Don't sink, said Sad Deep. Such a beautiful sim. Yeah, it's looking good actually. To be fair, with Exige, I'm very pleased with how it looks there. Solid, says Milan. Minus 129. That's okay. Applause. Listerman says nice landing. They'll take that. 3 degrees nose. Solid. Nice. These are all figures which are new to me, or I certainly don't think about in reality. List them in 10 out of 10, would fly again. That's the review for Flight Deck to Sim Airlines. Brilliant. And Adrian says it means auto-docking scenery animation manager will dock to gate once engine is out. Well, there we go. Well, I hope that doesn't mess up with the replay, but yes, the passengers are disembarking, and yeah, let's have a look at that scenery. This, as I said, is from Malaga. It's from Aerosoft. Simwings, Windsock Simulations. I've been to Malaga a lot, and it looks really, really good. All this looks nice. Obviously, we've got the Ortho 4 XP around here as well, but no, if you were to get this payware scenery, I again 100% recommend it. I should probably contact these people and get some sort of discount code for you. That would be really, really cool. But I keep myself quite a low profile in the sim community. Right, anyway, let's give you some replays of that landing. And of course, cue the replay music. Only the one sector today, I'm afraid, guys. But I will be planning, hopefully, a stream this weekend. Or, well, perhaps the tutorial released at least. And then a stream very soon. But let's take a look at the landing first from the threshold. It's a little bit floated out, that one. I can hear that bell from the air bridge. That's a problem. Oh, look, the door's open as well. The number one's just jumped out. That's a shame. We'll have to ignore the fact that the door's open. That's so funny. Alright, nice. A little bit floated. It was nice and smooth. I just love the fact the door's open. Oh dear. Let's do another view from here. Let's go this side so you don't see the door. We can still see the door. Brilliant. But it was a lovely landing anyway. Button float, and there we're down. It's so good, this ZIBO mod. Really. They need some sort of meme for this. It's so funny with the door open. Fantastic. Guys, thank you very much everyone for popping in to another Flight Deck to Sim live stream, especially on New Year's Day. And we've had quite a few people watching. We've got up to 680 views at one point, which is really, really cool. So if you're new to the channel, thank you very much for popping in and welcome. Again, thank you very much for all the continued support, for the donations here. Everyone that signed up as a member, especially want to give a shout out to Richard there with his 1,000 Swedish krona donation. That was incredibly generous as well. Tim, you came in with a £10 donation as well. What was the landing rate? I can't remember. I think you might have won that bet, so some money too. Martin as well donated. Nikolai Olsden, Ben Wright became a member. Positive Rate, Tom Knudsen, Carl Sangri, of course, always donates in the stream, so thank you again, and Volbrick too as well. Regarding the next live stream, as I just said a few minutes ago, maybe something this weekend, we'll see, but definitely a tutorial out in the next week to 2 weeks or so. But thank you very much, guys. Have a lovely quiet New Year's Day, what's left of it, wherever you are in the world. Please try and ignore that bell noise during the replay as well. But it was a very enjoyable stream. Shame about VATSIM, of course, but I think that's going to be a continued issue in the future. No problem, I'll just stay off the network and continue with the educational streams. Guys, have a great evening, as I said, and don't forget to give the video a thumbs up, and I'll see you all very soon. Bye bye for now.